It's episode 106 of the Improv London podcast. I'm your host, Stuart Moses, and this week's guest is Mariana Feij.
Hi.
Hello.
It was perfect.
Thank you very much. It's very important to me that I get people's names right in general, but also on the podcast. I feel
it's
that it's
recorded for posterity.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
I like to think that people will listen to this and go, "Oh, that's how Mariana pronounces her surname." I don't know. Maybe I don't have that much sway on things. Thank you very much for coming on the Improv London podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Brilliant. It would be awful if it was some sort of terrible chore that had to be endured.
I was made to come up here and locked in a room. I didn't want to, but Stuart is very mean.
I run a tight...
As everyone knows.
I'm well known for my meanness. That is very much. Well, maybe. I don't know. Part of me likes that idea. You are a member of 20% Less.
Yes, I am. You've had Maddie here before, who's another third of the group, together with Lucy. Yeah.
Tell me about 20% Less. What's it like being in 20% Less? What does 20% Less do?
It's great being in 20% Less. We started we joined the three of us. Actually, we were five at the start. We're now three because we wanted to do improv in a more what's the word? Open way, maybe. Only with women and. Sometimes playing with men is a bit harder. We have to be a little bit more aggressive. So we thought that it would be great to play just with women and be having our ideas heard. So yeah, that's great. And we also host shows. All our shows have the amplifying voices as our main objective. We have Word of Mouth, which is an all-female identifying lineup, which is meant to amplify the voices of female-identifying individuals. And that's like our longest-running show. We've been doing it for more than a year, and it's been a great experience. We've met tons of amazing women, and very funny. And we're starting now we've actually had a soft launch in June of Queer Those, which is a LGBTQ community show. And we have a big show in August as well.
Cool.
We actually have 3 shows in August.
That's brilliant. Excellent. It's nice to know there's stuff going on in London. Not everyone is decamped to Edinburgh. So let's look at 20% Less. And yeah, can we explore this kind of idea of, you say, open?
Yeah. It's like I've been, before 20% Less, I had a group which was Talking Dog, which sadly... died. Our puppy died, not because of 20% Less. Other things happened, but at the time where 20% Less formed, there were 5 males and me, which is fine, and they're great people. I love them all, and it was actually a very diverse group for other reasons, even if I was the only woman. But yeah, at that point, I felt like I wanted to explore playing with women more, and Lucy and I started as a two-prov, actually.
Oh yeah.
We came out of a workshop with Patrick Clare from UCB in New York, where we thought we played very well together, and Champagne encouraged us to do a two-prov, and from then we started playing with Maddie and Kima as well. Yeah. Kima now is like, she went, she's very successful, so she had to leave us because she has a lot of things going on.
Cool. And so what sort of, do you have a particular form you follow, or?
Yeah, we have our own form that we developed together with Lydia Hensler from UCB as well. She is now in LA, so I can no longer say from UCB New York. And it's like a mix of the Pretty Flower and the La Ronde.
Cool. So remind me how those both work.
The Pretty Flower has a center scene, which is sort of a mono scene. And then if something shiny you want to follow out of the mono scene, happens, you can go out in a petal.
Right.
And like do a tag run.
Yes.
And then go back to the main scene.
Right.
And then as many petals as you want to do when something shiny happens.
Cool.
In our particular form, we substitute the tag runs with larons. And the laron is when you start a scene with two people, then one of those people stays in the scene and another person comes to play with them, and so on and so on. So instead of doing a tag run where you have to follow the same character all the time,
yes,
you do a laron where you follow the new character every time.
But then you eventually get back to the original scene.
To the original scene, yeah.
Wow, that sounds great.
And then we play around with endings a bit, because, an improv set never finishes. That's the idea. It can always keep on going, but we play a bit with endings, because we know we do need to end, because we usually have a set amount of time to do it.
So how do you end?
We've played around with bringing up as many characters as we want back, which is hard because we are 3 and we can't multiply ourselves. Or just finish in the main scene with the 3 original people.
Oh, right.
So it depends. We play a bit with that. It depends how inspired we are, I guess.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because I've not thought about endings. I find that hard, because I find it hard to remember who were the 3 characters originally. So I think that's a lovely thing to do, but I would just struggle with all the things that are going on just to try to kind of like bring it back. But I suppose that's practice, isn't it?
And there's little tricks you can use, like using different voices and postures to remind yourself of the characters you've already played, or like the hotspots on the stage.
Ah, yeah. Cool. So you're quite UCB sort of influenced?
Yeah, we've all mainly done UCB stuff. So yeah, we are very UCB influenced. We've done I've done a lot of other schools as well, and I think they all inform each other. But yeah, UCB is probably the one I took more of.
Yeah. So you're looking for the first unusual thing in a scene?
Yeah. We set our base reality, and then when the unusual thing happens, we follow it, yeah.
And do you get a suggestion at the start?
We do. We take as a suggestion a line from a movie.
Oh, right,
and then from there we go to Park Bench of Truth. And then we start our Pretty Flower after a short 3-minute long Park Bench of Truth.
Ah, right. So how is the Park Bench of Truth different from someone doing a monologue?
You really think about sitting in a park bench and just chatting with each other.
Oh,
That's
right.
what we do.
Oh, right. So it's a bit like the living room.
Yeah.
In that aspect, you are right. So you're telling the truth but bouncing off each other, and that sort of thing. Cool.
And we tend to mock each other a lot, and we mock. We get one of us always gets annoyed.
Really?
In a very loving way.
I'm interested in that dynamic. Why is that fun?
We didn't catch that ourselves. We didn't notice it ourselves, but most of the people who coach us tell us we have a really cool dynamic and chemistry between us.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's like what we try to play now with, and we're very different as well. We each come from grew up in different countries, and we have life experiences that are very different. So there's always things about each other that surprises us. So yeah, that's what we play around with in the Park Bench of Truth.
I mean, it's really nice when you're watching both the kind of I'm going to say story, but I don't necessarily mean that in a narrative sense, but what's going on in the scene, but then you're also enjoying what's going on between the improvisers, and especially if you've got a group of improvisers who do work together well, seeing the different levels can be really good fun to watch. Yeah,
it's a lot of fun. I think we all always enjoy what we do on stage, even when the improv isn't as perfect. We always enjoy being together. So yeah.
Brilliant. Well, not much more you can ask than that, really, isn't it? And within 20% less, what sort of role do you play? Are you? I mean, we don't have to talk about robot pirate ninja, but we can do if you think about things in that way.
I think we're all very robot-y.
Right.
With all the three of us. Kima was our pirate, and we're working towards becoming more, having more pirate-like behavior, because that's important to make things more exciting or more unexpected. And we all should aim to be a ninja, which is the perfect robot and pirate percentage of in a person should be a ninja. So that's what we're aiming for. But I think we're all very rational, and we think about we're all a bit like that.
That's interesting. Interesting to have three people that are all, working in that similar sort of way.
But we try to, and I think we managed to, although it's not our initial approach to improv, maybe we try to just do some piratey moves.
Cool. So yeah, can you tell me about Foreign Office? Tell me about how that started, what sort of thing you do with that.
So at the time we still had Kima, and the group, the four of us, only Maddie is from the UK. We're all foreign. And looking around us, we can see that there are a lot of foreign people. From my particular experience, I always find that people patronize me a bit because I'm foreign and I speak really good English. And sometimes I don't get all the opportunities in work, not only in comedy, in like general work. So, as with word of mouth as well, is about amplifying the voices of the non-standard, or more, the less standard, if you will, although it's not standard, portions of the population.
Yeah. So that's a regular night, is that at the Miller?
Yeah, we have run it with Hoopla. We don't have any scheduled right now, so it's uncertain what's the future of the foreign offices. We do have word of mouth. We run it sometimes with Hoopla. We run it with C3 something. The August date we have is at the Miller during Hoopla's holidays.
Cool.
We also run it at Waterstones.
The Waterstones,
yeah.
The bookshop.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Oh, that's. I found out they ran events there, so I just asked, "Can we run a comedy night there?" And they said yes, and it was awesome. It was really good. We had an audience of no one we knew, no one from improv,
Brilliant.
I'm lying. Roderick was there.
But apart from Roderick.
Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's a really interesting idea.
Yeah. And then they cut off a bit of their coffee shop, but the bookshop is still open for people to go and browse. So there's people browsing and laughing at our jokes, and so that was really cool. They didn't pay for the ticket, and they were laughing at us, but it's always good to have people enjoy what you do.
So yeah, I'm really interested in your sort of... Was it you that put this together?
Yeah, like I do much of the admin, but yeah.
I'm really interested in the admin because it's not the glamorous side of it, but it's so crucial to, making shows happen. So I'm just interested in what you suggest.
I think I'm just like I've always been a very organized person. From like my academic background, I'm a biochemist.
Oh, right.
So I'm used to like keeping all my spreadsheets and stuff. So I guess I'm just organized. And I think like the main thing I've learned doing admin for improv and for putting on shows and stuff is just ask. Just ask people if they want to play your show. Just ask people if you can hold the show at the place they run. The worst thing that can happen is they say no.
That's great. It's great, the idea of spotting, Waterstones and then just getting to do a show there. Yeah. It's brilliant.
Yeah, and we're probably going to be back there in the autumn as well. And we're going probably as well to start doing shows at the House of Idiot in Brixton, because they're opening it up to other groups to run stuff there. So we may run a monthly night there, which will be either a word of mouth or a queer. Those are one of the nights we already run, but we'll have a venue every month available to us.
Cool, that's really great. So how do you hear about these opportunities?
I'm just online a lot. My main job is social media managing, so I'm on the internet all day and things just pop up.
Yeah. So things pop up, but then you take the opportunity and then you're organised with them.
Yeah, I just email and ask.
Yeah.
That's like, the best advice, I think.
Cool, that's really great. So yeah, tell me about word of mouth.
Again, looking around us, if you look at any comedy show, chances are it's the scale tips towards the straight white male side always. And I've heard this is a quote from Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the Supreme Court Justice in America. She said that when the moment she'll stop fighting for more women to be Supreme Court Justice will be the moment where all of them are. And the person who was interviewing her asked, but that's not fair because there's no equilibrium. The thing is, there are, until she was a Supreme Court Justice, the Supreme Court was 100% male. So until there's a 100% female Supreme Court Justice, there's no equality. Because in the past there were already 100% male Supreme Court. So yeah, that's what we're trying to do with word of mouth. For as many 100% female identifying lineups we can put on, that's still too little when looking at the landscape of shows, of comedy shows in London and in the world.
Cool. And you're also involved in C3 Something.
Yes.
Tell me about C3 Something.
I've always been. I started improv with them. My first improv class was a drop-in, C3 Something drop-in.
Was that one with Carlene?
Yes.
I miss Carlene's drop-ins. I tell her this every time I see her. She says the improv scene's moved on. That makes me sad.
Well, I don't know what to say to that.
That's fair enough. I was just sharing.
But yeah, that was and my first few shows were their shows as well. So and then my first team, Talking Dog, were C3 Something Else team. 20% Less are a C3 Something Else team. I've taken, I'm not going to say all, but almost all the workshops of the guest teachers they bring from the US. So yeah, they've always had a special place in my improv heart, if that exists. So yeah, when the opportunity came for me to play with them and to help out with shows, I was very happy to be a part of it. Cool. And there's like a show every week, so that's a great thing as well for me to be playing. And
yeah, for those that haven't been along on Sundays, the Horse and Stables, what can they expect if they come along?
So our shows on Sundays have two parts. The main show, which is we have usually 2 guest teams, C3 Something plays, and we have a jam when there's enough people for a jam, which doesn't always happen, but we encourage people to come to our jams because they're very supportive and friendly. So do come to our jams, come to our shows on Sunday and stay for the jam. And we have a special, what we call what do we call it? Late night specials. We have our late night specials, which is a spot we have open for anyone who wants to put on a show. Word of Mouth. The first Word of Mouth was a late night special. We have other regular late night specials. We do one that's a lot of fun that we call Understudied, and it's when an actor prepares a 2-person scene and the improviser doesn't know. You've done the musical one.
I've done the musical one, yes. Thank you very much, Megan, for inviting me along.
And that's always a lot of fun, and it usually happens monthly. And we've done other formats that we enjoy, like the improvised stand-up, where stand-ups come and improvise each other's sets.
Whoa.
Usually a stand-up has a set list, so they have like bullet points of what their stand-up is about. So another stand-up will pick those bullet points and improvise a stand-up set. Those are also a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yes, the time when I got to sing with. That was very funny. It's really intense. It was like an entire improv show condensed into about 4 minutes because it's improvising a scene and then improvising a song. But normally when you're improvising a song, the other person is also improvising. But if they're already singing Crazier Than You from the Addams Family, it's really worth trying actually because it's really intense.
Yeah, I have a lot of fun doing that format. As I've never done the musical one, but I have a lot of fun being the improviser in those scenes.
Yeah, it's an exercise in justification, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to fold in whatever the other person does.
And also in understanding that as long as you commit, which is one of the most important things in improv, in my opinion, as long as you commit to what you've said, none of it is actually a mistake. You just have to justify it.
Yeah. And I think the audience loves that sort of thing because they know the peril that you're in, and they love to see you thrive or drown. Either way. So C3 doing the movie format at the moment. Is that the main format?
We do the movie, the monoscene. Yeah, I think that's our two main ones.
So the monoscene, I've heard different definitions of that. Is it where it's sort of some overall locations and then it's sort of scenes within that location, but it can be different people playing different scenes within that, or is it something different?
The monoscene happens in one location,
right,
which is a room.
Right.
I think the one you're describing is the macro scene.
Ah, right, okay.
The monoscene happens within one location. The same improviser can play more than one character as long as he leaves and enters again as someone else.
Right, yeah.
And there's no tags or sweeps, so you only leave the scene if you get out of the room. The imaginary room, you don't actually need to leave the room, even though there is the real door monoscene where people just stand outside of the room and come in with a bold choice.
Wow.
And you have to justify it, and that's a lot of fun to play as well.
Okay, cool, that's interesting. Yes, thank you for that definition. So what is it about that format you particularly enjoy?
When you do the monoscene, you have to make big character choices and have like defined character games, and that's helpful in all of improv. And I think that's why I particularly like doing different formats. Is each of them teaches you something about the craft.
Yeah.
And it's always important to listen, to be aware of your surroundings in a monoscene as well.
And recently you went to New York for the Dull Close Marathon.
Yes, I went to New York for a whole month because 20% Less and a group of players from C3 something were playing the Dull Close Marathon. Wow. I went earlier because I wanted to do some courses at UCB. I also did some courses at the Brooklyn Comedy Collective, which is a school founded by the creative director from the Annoyance Theatre in New York before it stopped existing. And when the Annoyance stopped existing in New York, he created his own school. He has been in London. Philip Markle, he taught a workshop with C3 something. So I took the opportunity in New York to also take his course.
Cool. What was that like?
It's the Annoyance's philosophy is new to me. So it's always good to try different things and new philosophies. And their intensive was not strictly improv. They also had stand-up afternoon, commercial casting afternoon. Will O'Hara did one of the afternoon classes as well. And yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Cool. I mean, it's hard for you to sum up, but what was different about Annoyance from, say, UCB or something like that? Did you learn something particular from Annoyance, or it's a hard question, I know.
It's a different philosophy. They maybe focus a little less on the structure. I think the main thing they teach is that you have to have a deal from the start. So you have to come in with emotional choice and then play the scene with that deal in mind. which is an interesting way to play.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. So yeah, for those that haven't been, which includes me, what is the Del Close Marathon?
The Del Close Marathon is a 56-hour long non-stop improv festival.
That's too much improv.
You can argue that. And this year they had 700 shows in, I think, 7 theaters. That is really overwhelming because the theaters are far away in the city. The trains in New York work terribly. It's not like the London tube. So if you don't ride a bicycle, it's really hard to go from one theater to the other. And there's like huge queues to get in because each theater cleaning, everyone comes out and a new batch of people go in. So you have to make choices, commit to. It's like improv. You have to make choices and commit to them, and just don't leave the queue if you want to get in. Don't try to catch somewhere else because you won't watch anything. Cool.
That's a good tip. That's a good tip. So how did C3 Something get to appear?
20% less also appeared.
Okay, 20% less and C3 Something.
You can apply for DCM. Anyone can apply for DCM. I don't know if this has always been the way, but this year they asked you for 15-minute, at least, video of you performing improv, and they ask who you are, what you've done, what's your improv experience, if you play regularly or not. And both of us got in. There were other teams from London also playing DCM. The Bareback Kings were there as well. Yeah, it was a good representation of the London improv scene.
Cool. And yeah, what were your sets like? How was it different being in New York, playing as part of that rather than just in the UK?
I guess like there's not a huge difference other than you're playing to big audiences. And the references may not go through, but also you shouldn't rely on references because you don't know who in the audience will have the same references as you. 20% less played the first day of the festival. We had a very fun set, and that I think people enjoyed. C3 Something, the team we took was called the Basic Beach Crew, the BBC. Played the second day of the festival, and we also had a very fun set. We actually had, for those who remember him, he's pre my time doing improv. It is during my time watching improv, but pre my time doing improv, Alistair McGee was also at DCM, so he played with us, but he was doing another set at the same time, so we would only be able to arrive midway through our set. And we told him, just do it, because it's like the real Dharma on the scene. Just come in and make a bold choice, and he did, and that was great. It was amazing, and everyone in the audience, what just happened? So that was a lot of fun.
Cool, that sounds great.
And we also did, because they do beach shows, Steve Rowe's Improv Marathon also had the beach shows, and they do like all through the night. They're mostly beach shows, and we did the beach show where we just aggressively fed each other pizza whilst trash talking each other as well. That was fun. And I did a mashup show as well, because you can also apply for those, and they have like themes, and I did the immigrant mashup show, where a bunch of immigrants from different places in the world just got together and played an improv set.
Cool, that sounds great. It's really interesting. I didn't realise you could apply to go there. That's cool. You'd recommend it for people to... I do.
This is the last year for the foreseeable future, at least in New York. They are doing the Del Close Marathon in LA from next year, which will probably make it a little bit more difficult for people from London to go, because it's further away and more expensive. I am planning to go. I'm already saving money for that.
Excellent.
It will also be different because there's no trains, but I think I've been told the theaters in LA are very close to each other, so...
Cool, that sounds great. And you're also involved with Funny Women?
Yes, I'm their social media manager and I do reviews for them. I also teach a bit with them. Oh, I forgot to say that, talking about drop-ins, C3 Something are bringing back drop-ins.
Yay!
We've started bringing them back in the past couple of months, but from September on they will be more regular.
Cool.
I'll be teaching a lot of them.
Excellent. And what day of the week are these going to be?
They will be Sundays, cool. Before our show at the Horse and Stables.
Fantastic. Cool.
Put it all in one place, so it's easier for us to do all the admin.
Yeah, definitely. And then I imagine if someone's come along for the drop-in, then they might even stay for the show, and it's all a beautiful synergy.
Exactly, and stay for jams and everything.
Nice. I like what you've done there. So when you're teaching for Funny Women, what sort of things are you teaching?
It's a lot of improv games and stuff like that, because they mostly focus on stand-up.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's mostly exercises that will make the people that are taking the class know each other, and exercising is in listening and storytelling, which are important for stand-up as well.
Cool. What's your favourite game to teach or to play?
I really like the storytelling hotspot. Do you know? I think people are more familiar with the musical hotspot.
Yes.
Where someone's in the middle singing, and then when something
get tagged out.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can do that with monologues.
Ah, that's interesting.
Yeah. So whenever the monologue, you can't always listen to the monologue. This story is really interesting and I want to know the end of it. Someone takes the person out and tells their own story. So it also promotes conversation after class, because I wanted to know what happened in that story. Yeah.
Cool. That sounds great. Right. So, do you find learning improv from a book helpful? And if so, do you have a favourite improv book?
I do. I'm a very what's the word? Analytical person. Yeah. So books are an easy way for me to learn. I've read the UCB manual.
It's very good.
Whilst trying to learn the Herald with Talking Dog. And I think it's a great resource. I'd say after you have some of the bases of improv, How to Be the Greatest Improviser on Earth from Will Hines is a great book.
Yes, that's very, very good. I love an improv book. It helps me because you've got time to properly digest some of the theories, and I find that it helps me pick things up faster in class, because sometimes I've already got some of the information from the book, and so it takes less kind of processing power when I'm in the class, or I can understand greater nuances. So,
yeah. It's also good to have them and to go back to them, because you change, your improv changes, and things that didn't make sense to you when you first read it will make sense to you. They're also great resources for teachers. Yeah. Cool,
excellent. Yes, I heartily endorse both those books. I found them both brilliant. Who or what has had the most influence on your improv?
That's a difficult question, because it's because I've been doing improv for a while, so different people at different times have had different influences. I'd say the first person I should mention is Sean Pennant, because I started doing improv because of him, and he's always super supportive, and he's a great teacher. I think he's one of the best teachers I've had in improv, and I've had great teachers, but he's a great teacher. And then just from the beginning, doing some great classes. My first teacher, one month in, I decided to do a guest teacher class with Connor Ratliff, who is now one of my favorite improvisers in the whole world. So having him as an early teacher is great. And then I love Will Hines and everything he does, the podcasts, the books, and the way he sees improv and he analyzes it is great for me.
Cool, excellent. So if someone was to step on stage with you, perhaps in a jam, what could they do to delight you?
Just like listen really hard, because I think that's the most important skill in improv that I find that some people forget. That'll if my scene partner is listening to me, I'm delighted. And just really high commitment at DCM. What inspired me the most was how much commitment everyone had whilst doing really crazy moves and piratey moves and being really good at all the basics of improv, listening, who, what, where, everything. Even in beat shows, it was like the improv was perfect, but they committed so hard with everything, with all their moves, with their body. I came back wanting to really be fit. I do capoeira, and I feel like in the past 3 years I've been trying to do a handstand and I haven't yet been able to, but now, just because of improv, I will, because I want to be able to control my body, because I've seen people do amazing things and commit hard.
Yeah, what sort of things are you thinking of?
There was this whole set with Betsy Sodaro and Chris Tarver, where they were just setting up a baby's, like the little thing where they play inside. I don't know how you call it.
A playpen or a cot?
Yeah, a cot maybe.
Cot's usually where they sleep.
Okay, then a playpen.
Yeah,
probably.
playpen sort of thing. With they walls around the outside.
And they just were making it very hard on themselves to do it, and they will fall with it on top of them. And it was great. While at the same time connecting with each other and doing an improv scene, but like really straining their bodies while doing that. And I thought that was like one of the best moments. There was this other set that was Anthony Atamanik, Gil Ozeri, and Katie Dippold doing a bet where they're blindfolded, so they're in the dark. And they just committed hard. They would go straight to the end of the stage, running the risk of falling down, but they would anyway. That commitment was great. And then, like, Shannon O'Neill was at the side, and she decided to start playing with chairs and putting them around them without them knowing. And they committed hard. They would go against the chairs, but they would still commit. And I thought that kind of commitment is what I want to do.
Cool. That sounds brilliant. What's your signature move? What's the classic thing that you can do that always saves the day, brings down the house?
People say I'm good at justifying, so I guess justification is important sometimes. Yeah, but I've been more intent in being more acting my emotions better. So yeah, I don't know what will be my signature move. You'd have to ask someone else. What do they think I do? I don't know.
Cool. Right. What's coming up that people can get involved with?
So, C3 Something Ever show every Sunday. We may take a break, a couple of days break in August. We're still figuring it out, but keep posted on our social media because it will all be up. And 20% Less F3 shows in August. We have a charity show where we're raising funds for Bloody Good Period, which is a period poverty charity. On the 2nd of August at the Miller. We have Word of Mouth at the 9th of August at the Miller. And we have Queer Those, which is our new LGBTQ night, on the 31st of August at the Miller as well. We're taking over the Miller in August from Hoopla. We didn't take more dates because I'm going to be away in Edinburgh for 2 weeks. So it had to be around my time in Edinburgh.
Brilliant. That sounds fantastic. I encourage everyone to go along to those. They sound great.
Yeah, and do follow us on all our social medias, 20% Less and C3 Something. We're happy to have you like our pages and our photos and all of it.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for being a guest on the Improv London podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yay!
I made this.
That's improv!